Hello, it's me. We're going to be going through our wonderful lesson here on understanding and graphing using intercepts. I'm going to do a little bit of review at the beginning here while we get ready to then do the graphing. You are going to need your note worksheet out, the one that you had from class on Monday, and then let's just get going. So let me get my ugly mug out of here. See ya. Bye, ugly mug. All right, here's your first one. It says, describe the x and y intercepts. So just a reminder, when we did these, number one, our x-intercept, okay, is where our blue line crosses the x-axis. So for this particular one, our x-intercept would be 70. Okay, so that'd be 70, 0. Reminder, an x-intercept, the y value is 0. Or an x-intercept, the y value is 0. Our y-intercept. For our y-intercept, remember y-intercept on a graph is where it crosses the y-axis, and it crosses right here at 140. And our y-intercept, the x is 0. So it'd be 0, 140. Now remember, there's more than one way to describe these, but we were using a specific pattern. So for our x-intercept, we could say at 70, and then we need to look here at what is being shown on the x-axis. That's the adult tickets at 70 adult tickets sold. There are 0 children tickets sold. Okay, so that would be how we do that one. And for the y-intercept, the only thing that's going to change isn't necessarily the format, but is the numbers in there. So now for a y-intercept, our x value is 0, so it'd be at 0 adult tickets sold. There are 0. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry. My brain was looking at the number. There are 140 children tickets sold. Okay? And that's how we would do that. Now, we're going to have a few problems here that come up. I'm going to ask you to pause the video and try to do them on your own on a scrap piece of paper. And then I will end up going over them. So here is your first one. I'd like you to pause the video and complete this problem. All right, here. I know it's a little grainy, hard to see. Our x-intercept would be at 18. So it'd be 18, 0. And for this particular one, if I'm giving my explanation, it would be at 18 minutes, the height above the canyon floor is 0 feet. Okay, so that'd be a generic way to describe that. But let's think about this for a second. If we're 0 feet above the canyon floor, just think about it. Where are we? We are on the canyon floor. Okay, we're right there on the canyon floor. Okay, so some people would use that as their way to describe it. Our y-intercept. Our y-intercept is right here, and that would be 360. So 0, 360. Again, remember we talked, you got to use those parentheses on those. Okay, and then we can give our description. at 0 minutes, the height above the canyon floor is 360 feet. Okay, let's go on to our next one. Go on to our next one. Go ahead and pause the video and complete this problem. X and Y intercepts, remember. All right. Drew's scuba tank. For our x-intercept, it crosses right here. That would be 60. So our description would be at 6 minutes. The amount of air in the scuba tank is 0 cubic feet. Okay, so think about this for a second. If there's 0 cubic feet of air in that tank, the tank is empty. So there will be people who will correctly write that at 6 minutes, the tank is empty. Okay, and that is a true statement. Our y-intercept is right here. That'd be 0, 40. Okay. The only thing that's going to change is our number. So we would say at 0 minutes, the amount of air in the scuba tank. Scuba team. Oh, it's not Scuba Steve, it's Scuba Drew. Scuba tank is 40 cubic feet. Okay. Last type where we're having to describe is on this table. So go ahead and pause the video and try to your X and Y intercepts for this table. Okay. Now, remember, we're looking for zeros when we do this, and there's 2 spots where we see zeros in this particular one, the top one and the bottom one. Okay. We want to make sure that we are correctly identifying the X and Y intercepts. So remember, for an X intercept, the Y has to be 0. So I'm looking for a 0 in the Y spot, and that would be this one. So my x-intercept is 80. 80. Now, what does that mean? For my x-intercept, it means at 8 minutes, Eva's distance from home is 0 miles. 0 miles. So she's at home. Okay? If her distance from home is 0 miles, Eva's at home. Our y-intercept would then be this one, because the x has to be 0, to be 0, 4. Right? So it'd be at 0 minutes, Eva's distance from home is 4 miles. Okay, she's 4 miles away from her house at that point. Okay, we'll continue practicing this on Thursday, Friday. Okay, but let's go ahead and make sure we have that note paper out. We're going to be filling out the back page that we did not get to yet. Okay, so we had done these with describing them, and now we need to make sure we understand how to use this information to help us graph. Okay, so we do have to make sure we understand and we remember, for an x-intercept, the y is 0. For a y-intercept, the x is 0. So we're going to utilize that fact to help us do this. So we're going to look at these 2 problems, number 7, number 8. We're just going to worry about getting the intercepts. We'll do the graphing here in a little bit. Okay. but let's look at how this takes place. So for the x-intercept, remember, for an x-intercept, the y value is 0. So I'm going to take the 0 and I'm going to put it in for my y, and I'm going to go ahead and make an equation. Okay, so I have 0 equals 4 plus x. All I did is put a 0 in that spot. Okay, and I solved this equation, just like we were doing in Unit 2. Minus 4 on both sides. I get negative 4 equals x. Okay, so what's my x-intercept? Negative 4, 0. Now, I start back over using the equation for my y-intercept. Remember, for a y-intercept, this time the x is 0. So this time when I work with the problem, I'm putting my 0 here for the x. So I'd have y equals 4 plus 0. 4 plus 0 is 4, so my y-intercept would be 0, 4. And we would use these two data points in order to to plot points on a graph, and then we'd connect them with a line. We'll see that here soon. Okay, so that's one type. Now, although these two problems follow the same system, since the problems look different, they sometimes feel different. Okay, so let's do the same thing again with number 8. Remember my x-intercept? The y is 0. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in. 0 goes in for that y, so I would have 2x minus 5 times 0 equals 1. And I'm going to solve this problem. Well, 5 times 0 is 0. So I get 2x equals 1. Finish him. Divide by 2. Now I like using decimals for these, 0.5. Okay, so there's my x-intercept. My y-intercept. Remember, for a y-intercept, this time the x is 0. So I'm going to start back over with this problem. This time, I'm putting a 0 where the x is for my y-intercept. So I have 2 times 0 minus 5y equals 1. Now, I specifically chose this one for this reason right here. 2 times 0 is 0. You've got to make sure you bring that negative down. Sometimes we forget this negative sign. We got to bring it down with the 5y. It's negative 5y equals 1. Finish him. Divide by negative 1. And we would get negative 0.2. Negative 0.2. Okay? Now, on the top where you have some space on your note sheet, I want to do a couple more. So let's look specifically just at, let's do number 3, and we're going to do number 4, those two. Okay, just so we can see these one more time. Now, if you feel good, okay, you can work ahead. If you're not feeling good about it, stay with me. So number 3. First, my x-intercept. Y has to be 0. So y has to be 0. I'm putting my 0 right there. So it'll be 5x plus 2 times 0 equals negative 8. 2 times 0 is 0. I get 5x equals negative 8. Finish him. Divide by 5. And I get negative 1.6. All right. For my x-intercept, sorry, that was my x-intercept. For my y-intercept, remember now the x is 0. And we're going to do this problem all over again. Remember, we just start back with the original problem. But this time I'm putting the 0 in for the x. So I have 5 times 0 plus 2y equals negative 8. 5 times 0 is 0. I get 2y equals negative 8. Finish it. then we'd be able to plot those two data points on a graph and make our line. Now, just so that we're aware, when you do have decimals, you got it. It's going to be somewhere in between the two lines. All right, it's going to be somewhere between two lines. Okay, last one together. I wanted to make sure we did number 4 so that you're prepared. You've seen a fraction type one. Helpful when we use our calculators for these. But let's go ahead and do this. X-intercept. The y has to be 0. So the y is 0. 0 equals negative 1/2 x plus 1 minus 1 on both sides. I get negative 1 equals negative 1/2 x. Finish it. Divide by negative 1/2. And I would get positive 2. Okay, so that would be 2, 0. For the y-intercept, this time we are putting in a 0 for x. So I'm putting my 0 here. So I would get y equals negative 1/2 times 0 plus 1. Well, negative 1/2 times 0 is 0. And now I get y equals 1. And I'd be able to plot that. Okay. Okay, there are 3 graphs on that paper that we are going to do together. And then we're going to have our homework assignment. Okay, so here's the first one. We're going to be graphing this equation. Now, let's make sure we understand when we do the worksheet. I should see the type of work that I'm going to show. Okay, so you do have to give me what the x-intercept is and the y-intercept is, and then you can show the graph. Okay, so one thing at a time. X-intercept. Y is 0. So we got 4x minus 0 equals 4. That's 0, so it's gone. I get 4x equals 4. Finish it. Divide by 4, and x is 1. Okay. Now, one thing you want to make sure of is make sure you put your x-intercept on the x-axis. So my x-intercept is 1, so it goes right there. Okay. Now my y-intercept. Remember the y-intercept, now the x is 0. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to start over with this problem. Okay? This time the x is 0. So 4 times 0 minus y equals 4. Well, 4 times 0 is 0. Now you got to be very careful here because this is actually a negative 1y. We don't usually write the 1, but it helps us to see it. Drop it like it's hot. Finish it. Divide by negative 1, and y is negative 4. Make sure your y-intercept is on the y-axis. There's 0, negative 4. And then we connect them. Okay, use your straight edge of some sort, your ID, some straight edge in order to connect those points. All right, let's look at our next example. Very similar, not the same. Here's the problem. We're doing our x and y intercepts. So our x-intercept, we have y is 0. So 2x plus 5 times 0 equals 10. 5 times 0 is 0. I get 2x equals 10. Divide by 2, x is 5. 5, 0. Put it on your x-axis. Don't switch those up on accident. Our y-intercept. Now our x is 0. restart the problem. 2 times 0 plus 5y equals 10. 2 times 0 is 0. They get 5y equals 10. Finish it. And y is 2. 0, 2. From here, I have my 2 data points. I just need to connect. Okay, last example before you get to your homework assignment is I want you to see one that had a y equals. The process doesn't change, just looks a little bit different. Remember, x-intercept, x-intercept, y is 0. So 0 equals 2x plus 2. We do have to solve that equation. Minus 2 on both sides. Finish him. And we get negative 1. Negative 1, 0. Make sure our x is on the x. Our y-intercept. X is 0 this time. So we have y equals 2 times 0 plus 2. 2 times 0 is 0. So I have y equals 2. And then I connect. Okay. Now you have a worksheet assignment that is on our Canvas page. You likely have seen it already. On that worksheet, there are 10 problems. Number 6, you do not have to do. Okay, if you do it correctly with Word, that becomes an extra point on your assignment, so you can get a 6 out of 5. Okay, on the assignment. Other than that, make sure you are showing your work. Each problem, you should have the x-intercept and the y-intercept written, just like similar to like what I have done here on this problem. Okay. I do want to recognize that you are going to see some decimals. Okay, don't freak out. You know, if you're doing a problem and you see your x-intercept is like something like 1.3 repeating. No, you get an x-intercept like that. Well, remember, there's 1, there's 2. So 1.3 repeating would be about here. It's just a little bit less than half. Okay, so you do have to do a little bit of guesstimating when it comes to things like that, when you do get the decimals. Okay, but we're going to get 2 points. We're going to be able to plot the line. Okay, all right, get that assignment done. Make sure you submit it on Canvas. And y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day.